things about trading Forex is that you don't actually know exactly which trade is going to be a crazy winner or just another loss.
What's up, everybody? We are currently live.
Taking away the weekly.
Trades back down to the confidence that price is going to be bullish.
Point sort of chasing the market. I was more than happy to stay flat.
Hello everyone. What the kangaroo tell?
Always recommend trading on the 5 minute.
Some of these exotic pairs and pretty steady uptrend, making these higher highs and higher.
Mostly trend following.
The stimulus in a certain way.
Afternoon, evening, afternoon, good morning, everybody. Hope you are well. Apologies for the slight delay. Thanks to Nick and A1 Trading for having me back on a Thursday evening here in Dubai, where it's about 45 degrees. Middle of August, this is the worst. Have you ever been to Dubai? Don't come in summer. I'll tell you that for free. It's about 45 degrees and it's just, unbelievably hot. It's like an oven in the afternoon. Don, how we doing? Denise, how are you? Anyone else in the room, come say hello. Always like these streams to be interactive. No Roomba mishaps. So, yeah, it's quite funny, Denise. I put a thing on my Instagram story. Before I get into the markets, I will get into the markets. But anyway, I've got this new robot vacuum, which is great if you're a dog owner. But a couple of months ago, I've got a German Shepherd. And unfortunately, he had diarrhea, so the Roomba goes off automatically in the morning. So you can just, I won't say anything else. I think you can imagine the picture when I got downstairs. So yeah, hopefully no Roomba mishaps in the future. Anyway, let's talk market, shall we? How are you guys trading, by the way? I've not taken a trade in, I think, about 10 days now. I've not taken a trade. I've said this for a while. I've not liked this market. I've not liked it. And GJ, which I'll go into, is a kind of prime example of that. Good evening from Pakistan. Hi, Hussein. Good to see you. Thanks for joining. I appreciate it. So let's start with the SPX. Now, the easiest place to start, as with most charts, is probably this daily. Right, your daily perspective looks okay. You know, we're kind of grinding up there. We're not having any massive impulses like we have done here. But, you know, we had our price acceptance above that level. You know, I did talk about this particular bar a couple of days ago. I don't know if it was on live here or live on my YouTube, but that was your kind of inclination that this market wanted to rise. And like I said, there's been no fireworks, you know, there's been no fireworks, but we've kind of trod it on up there and we're continuing to do so. And you'd expect, I mean, I know we're not massively impulsing, but you'd expect, as I've said quite a few times, that to translate into Aussie strength, Kiwi strength, CAD strength. You know, yen weakness, Swiss weakness, potentially, US dollar weakness. And we've not got that. I mean, we're getting yen quite strong right now. Obviously, the dollar's been quite strong up until the last few days. But, you know, the last 2.5 months, you know, I might sound like a broken record here, and you guys let me know if you're trading well. For me, it's about sitting on the sidelines. You know, I'm not interested in forcing a trade. I'm not interested in over trading or saying, oh, you know what, I'd love to make a trade. I'm bored. I'm just sitting here waiting for the right opportunity or something that fits my checklist. And unfortunately, sometimes in this game, and this is what social media don't tell you, is that, I'll rephrase that. A lot of accounts on social media, you know which accounts I'm probably talking about. The fake Instagram trader, should I say. Don't tell you is that sometimes the best position is to not have a position on at all. And I think right now, because of the lack of follow through, the kind of strange market conditions, there's probably a time for that. Yeah, even if pairs like GU move bullish, it doesn't have follow through. And it consolidates or goes back down. Yeah, correct, Don. Correct. It is a frustrating market, you know. And for me, okay, let's say if you've got a decent amount of equity, and say for example you're placing, you know, if you've got a funded account, you're placing $4 grand a trade. you know, you want to protect that. That's the first and foremost. You want to protect your capital. So if you're playing sport, let's talk about football or soccer, as some of you might call it. You know, if you don't concede a goal, you're not going to lose the game, right? If you don't lose your money or a lot of your money, you don't lose a game. And there's a very famous quote: the market can remain irrational longer than you can remain solvent. And I think summertime, you know, we've had this year, you know, you could say maybe the big boys are on holiday, but, you know, I think that's quite relevant for now. Oh, thanks, Abdi. I appreciate it. Your screen is blurry. I'm not sure, mate. I'm not sure. I think it's usually okay. So the SPX is grinding. You know, it's just grinding up there, and there's no fireworks, like I said. We're hugging that 20 simple here. You can see here how the market does respect it. A very simple 20, and we're probably at the period where we're just continuing to do that. So I think yeah, maybe atypical. If you change the quality in your settings, you maybe see it better in the bottom right of your YouTube. So yeah, I think the market continues like this, but I don't think that's going to reflect, unless you get some massive impulse or massive fundamental driver. I don't think you're going to see that, you know, real nice market conditions where trend continuation traders make their money. But, you know, you can see here, I mean, Don, you're talking about it. This wasn't a break, but it's, you know, it's a really steep fall. I'm not sure if there's news out today, but I don't think, let me just check the news. I don't think there was any massive, yeah, jobless came in as expected. PPIs came in a little bit better. Maybe that caused a little bit of inflation worries, but, you know, I think this comes back up and it just, you know, dwindles away and keeps rising. So that's what I think. The more interesting one is the dollar. So I was talking the other day about this. Obviously came out on, I believe it was CPI news, right? This decent bar. And this is where I think it's funny. You know, I'm a technical trader, right? So fundamentals, or the fundamental guys, will come in and say, you know, it's risen or it's fallen because of that news. Yes, I agree with that, right? I still agree with that. But as a technical trader, you know, you're seeing this dollar really push up into an area in which it failed at before, right? So it's not coming in. I wouldn't say this was healthy up here, but, you know, it certainly isn't coming in for a level break healthy to me. You know, so when I was looking at the other day, I said, just be wary around here. You know, I'm not buying the dollar up here, but it doesn't mean I'm selling it here either. You know, just because this happens, you've got to take that larger context into it, right? So the context is we're still on an uptrend, right? So again, you put a simple fib on it from your bottom of the move, which is roughly around here. You know, the dollar still for me is in corrective mode. Touched that 23, kind of had a rejection. You know, don't be surprised if this maybe comes down and gives us something bigger. But you know, again, it's something that you're going to be on the fence with, and you know, I wouldn't be buying the dollar here. Maybe intraday if you look at the smaller time frames. But again, you're getting a little bit wicky on those smaller time frames. I just think this has more to go to digest this move up here. So I'm now dollar. I've changed my stance from a dollar bear to a dollar bull, but I wouldn't be buying the dollar right now. I'd just be waiting for something a little bit more for continuation longs. And I think, you know, we've had our V reversal now on the daily. We've still got a decent level up here. So, you know, maybe we get some price acceptance around this area. You know, even with pullback, I'm not going to say sell the dollar or buy the dollar. The dollar could still have some strength in that pullback, but you've got to be bullish on it because that's what the market's telling you. And that's what the trend and the technicals are telling you, is that, you know, we've come down from what I thought was a kind of decent rising wedge. I did think this would come down. That NFP changed it back to dollar bullishness. So, you know, using these higher time frames, just kind of thinking, okay, we've kind of had the move. Let's digest the move. That 70-30 rule. So you're going to got to keep that in mind, that this dollar may consolidate. That is my opinion. So, you know, out of interest, so the guys watching, how long have you guys been trading? I was thinking about this today. Like, have you been trading for a while? And what is your, because when I do these streams, I don't really sure who I'm talking to. I know your guys' names. I see a lot, you know, Dawn and Denise quite a few times. But what's your actual goal? You know, what do you want from trading? Do you want to go full time? Do you want to use it as passive income? You know, where do you think you are? Do you think you're close to getting there? Do you think you still got a way to go? Are you wanting to build your own account? Are you wanting to get a funded account? Kind of what's your goals with trading? Because I was, you know, I've been coming on the stream for a while and I don't actually know anything about you. 8 months still learning. Yeah. Okay, 8 months. Good. Well done. I would normally consider at least, I mean, this might not sound, I mean, this might sound bad, but I think you've really got to have a minimum of 3 years until I would say that, okay, you're a competent trader. That 3 years of experience, because it does take some time. For me, 8 months in, I was still thought I was a massive newbie, you know, depending on the information you get. So if you get good information, right, you can cut your learning curve by quite a lot. But, you know, finding that good information, and on A1 Trading, there's good information. Nick gives good information. You know, I think I give good information. A lot of our traders coming on here gives good information. Unfortunately, I got kind of scammed a little bit at my start, but I guess that happens to a lot of people. 2 years passive income, still a long way to go. I've been trading for about 10 months. My goal is to become good enough to become full-time, and I'm hoping to, once I have more consistently, take the FTMO. The FTMO, yeah, unfortunately, my FTMO didn't go too well. Right, with these FTMOs as well. The only thing I don't like about it, right? I love the concept. I think it's a great concept, and I think funded accounts is normally the way to go. Certainly to start. Like if you start off a funded account and then you can use it to build on your own account. That's my ethos. That will always be my ethos. The only problem, and you know, I think this is kind of specific to FTMO, is that the first stage is difficult. Like for any trader, the best trader in the world, it is very difficult to hit that 10%. You know, so that's the only, I mean, that's the only drawdown of it. Like I understand you've got to pay your money to get funded, but you know, it is difficult and you've really got to be kind of resilient. You know, for my first one, like I didn't pass it 10 times before I got my first one. So I had 10 attempts, failed them. You know, I've now failed 2 of this 200 grand, but I just go again. You know, I just go again and I might wait. I think waiting for probably the best market conditions for your personal strategy is a good way to go. So what I'm going to do now is just wait a little bit, wait until I see some fluidity and then start it again. Learning every day, 2 years and still learning. Yep. I'm 6 years and still learning. Want to get funded in a few years to get to full time. Yeah, there you go. So I think that is the best process, because really, you know, if you can't afford to put more than, let's say, minimum probably 30K into an account, I think your money is best placed into funded challenges for me. With these market conditions, it's impossible. Yeah, I mean, me as well. I mean, that's why I've not taken a trade. You know, that's why I'm not taking a trade unless I become a scalper. No offense to scalpers, yeah. Well, scalper, you probably put another 2 years onto your learning time to get decent, you know, to get good at that, because you're talking about adding psychology onto it. Scalping is very difficult. I don't like it at all. And this is a good example for me. This is a great example of what the kind of markets are, because, you know, I've talked about this GJ for quite some time. This setup was absolutely A star for me. A star, right? So we've got a big V reversal. We've got our, as I talked about, impulse, loss of momentum, harder reset, right? So you're kind of corrected from that impulse, loss of momentum, harder reset. You got your push up to the area again. So creating our kind of double V reversal, our rising pressure into this area. We've got a nice corrective back to that 20, a push on, another reload back to that 20. And most of the time, you consider the SPX rising, right? Right, pound also came out with good data today. Bank of England was bullish on the pound, came out with kind of positive, quite a hawkish nature. So you'd expect that, the just GJ to move up, certainly on account of all this, you know, on account of the daily as well. You zoom out on the daily, you know, this looks good. Just take this corrective. I know we're still in a corrective and anything can happen, but you've got our head and shoulders there, and a nice kind of accumulation. Now, what may be happening, this is still relevant on the daily, is you may be getting your kind of 20 period catch up, and possibly this is accumulating prior to this level. So the trade is still on, but you know, that 4 hour was just lovely. And my eyes were lighting up saying, okay, this is for sure with everything going on fundamentally, right? You talk about SPX rising, kind of a risk on attitude, yen weakening off recently. You think for sure this is going to go, but that's the market we are in. And we've kind of fallen off today. That's why for me personally, I'm not a massive fundamental guy. I like to see the market's reaction to the news rather than the news itself. You know, we had the news, we had a push down, we had a push up, and then we completely failed. And look at that, massive drop off in the pound yen. So in terms of a daily perspective is still on. So I'm waiting for that 20 period catch up now on the daily to take this to the upside. You know, I still like it. I would just wanted it on the 4 hour because your risk reward is a little bit better. And the same with Aussie yen. So the Aussie yen was very similar. You know, decent context from here. Not as nice as GJ, has to be said. Certainly not as nice as GJ. We've got our cup with handle. Nice corrective reload. Bullish engulfer past that 20. Again, nice few bars here prior to a break. Looking for that retest because the reason is our 200 is above price action. So we need 1-to-1 without this here, if that makes sense. So I can't take a trade if that 200 is in the way of my 1-to-1 risk reward ratio. And again, this has just failed off. So this is indicative of these markets. And what I've seen is, you know, I think maybe if you're a support and resistance trader, obviously, like Don said, if you're a scalper, you might be doing okay. But as a trend continuation trader, yeah, we're not getting any trends. You know, and the trends that do go, or the breakouts that do go, right, are from, you know, possibly if you're a pullback trader, you might be okay. But they're kind of from, you know, things like this, which I don't trade. So there's times again where Joe Bloggs' strategy will work in some conditions. You know, Amy's strategy will work in some conditions, and then my strategy will work in other conditions. So, and when you get to them, you probably have that little devil saying, oh, maybe you should change strategy. But that's, you know, that again is that psychological nature of trading. So yeah, I mean, for me, there's not much, guys. I've had a lot of things on my watch list. Let me know if you want me to look anything, because I've got nothing else, to be honest. You know, I think today is a day for a week for sitting on your fence and doing nothing. You know, I had a couple of watch lists in Bitcoin here looking for longs. Didn't take it because it wasn't quite clean, but you know, it would have ended up failing. I was looking at Litecoin, I was looking at a few cryptos, and they all ended up failing. So even though I've not taken a trade, I've actually not lost anything. So, and if I had taken these trades, you know, roughly here, you know, you would have ended up losing them. So that's also important. Even though you're kind of bored sitting around wanting to make a trade, you know, if you are losing trades, obviously worse than taking trades that end up being losers, because then what you're ended up with is frustration, because you're taking trades that you know aren't quite there, but you're taking them because you're bored and you want to take a trade. UJ looking to retrace a bit. Yeah, I agree, Don. UJ 4 hour looking to be possibly retracing there. I agree with that. Breaking through this structure now. Yeah, I agree. My bias for that right now is the downside. My bias overall is for a continuation to the upside on UJ. But again, very similar to the DXY. You know, you look at the DXY, very similar, right? So that will be a good indication for this currency pair. If you look at that, look where potentially you're getting a pullback strength in the dollar. If indeed that even comes, it might not come, it might fail, right? But you're looking somewhere around that 40-60 box if you're a pullback trader to get in on this trend. Broken out of this decent structure. Yeah, I like that. You know, I like UJ to the upside, just not now. Chudley, hi, I'm from South Africa. Oh no, I'm a Lions fan, so I don't know if I want to speak to you, mate. No, I'm joking. UJ to Euro NZD. Okay, we'll do Euro NZD. Euro NZD. Euro NZD, you could be getting your naked Forex trade on your daily chart, potentially. This ends up being an outside bullish engulfer. Could be decent for upside movement. It's just, it's not very nice trade. I mean, you're here roughly around that. You had that fake out down here below that support area, coming back up quite significantly and quite strongly. You know, again, Denise, it's just not very nice. It's not a very nice currency to be trading right now. You know, your bias has got to be to the downside, right? You've kind of had a slight pullback, but not a very nice pullback here. You've had a breakthrough and you've had a fake here. And simply because for me, it's not a very nice price action from this move, right? You want healthy price action. And we've kind of faked out and come back up. So if I had to give my bias, it would probably be, if this closes nicely, a slight pullback in that Euro NZD, I think. You know, if it does closes as this outside bullish engulfer, you can see that there, I would predict a little bit of upside movement for continuation to the downside. So, yeah, it's not very nice, Denise. I'll be honest with you, it's not very nice. Pound Aussie. Okay, I'm going to pound Aussie. What have we got here? Pound Aussie and Aussie CAD. Okay, I'll go into that, Mohammed. Can you please talk about gold? Okay, gold, I'll do that. I really love your setups. Soon be joining. I appreciate that, Judley. Appreciate that, man. Pound Aussie. Pound Aussie I like. See, Pound Aussie is not too bad on this daily. We've had okay, I'll go into this because some of you might not have seen my analysis on this Pound Aussie. So my Pound Aussie analysis is that we've gone through this larger phase of accumulation, right? So accumulation is at the bottom, and sometimes if you see something similar at the top, we call it distribution, right? And the reason why we're saying that is at the bottom, we've got institutions accumulating positions, taking a pair higher. And at the top, we've got institutions distributing positions on the way lower. So I've talked about this for a while. That's one of the reasons why I like Pound Aussie, right? We've had a decent move to the upside, nice little consolidation, volatility contraction here prior to the level, right? This is great. This is exactly what I like to see. Push on and a nice bullish push. And we're just in our corrective phase now. So this daily is back to the 20. It could be over. You know, if we see some bullish pressure in that Pound Aussie, it could be over. I think your key level, who asked me about Pound Aussie? Denise. Your key level for me, because it is an ABC, my favorite pattern, is your B wave, right? So you got B wave here from your AB. Potentially, this is not confirmed as C because you need a breakthrough B for this to be confirmed as C, if that makes sense. So for added confirmation for Pound Aussie longs, you're looking for a nice breakthrough B wave. But if you remember, I talked about the ABC on a previous stream. We don't want this, right? We want a nice context prior to that break. So even though we're looking through break to B, we don't want extensions or climactics into it because like we've seen before, they're often liable to snapbacks. So I like Pound Aussie. To be honest, I like Pound Aussie to the upside. I'm not trading it. I'm not in it. You know, smaller time frames, you could get some movement to the downside if it breaks below this channel. But you know, I think Pound comes back up, and from a daily perspective, it looks pretty nice. Rohan, how you doing, mate? Good to see you. What's next? Aussie CAD. Let's have a look at Aussie CAD. So yeah, I kind of out of those two, all the ones I've looked at, that Pound Aussie looks decent. But wait for that confirmation of that break of B wave and a healthy break of B wave. Aussie CAD, Mohammed. Okay, Aussie CAD. On the daily, Aussie CAD looks quite nice to the downside. You know, you've kind of had your decent push up here and your hammer bar at that 20, pushing it down. So I mean, your bias is to the downside on Aussie CAD. Again, I'll say it's not a very nice chart. You've kind of had your channel here broken out of, and this is what sometimes happens. You get your breaks of channels and then your kind of movement back into them. So we're getting some reaction here around the support area, which we've kind of had before, right? So you kind of got to expect that. If you get something potentially like this, where you're falling pressure into the area, then you could look for continuation to the downside. But you know, if this closes, this 4 hour closes like this, you've got to say that hammer is a potential trend change indicator or an upward movement indicator. So you could see some upward action, but your bias has to be to the downside because we are on a downtrend, right? And we have been for a while, and it's actually been quite a nice break. You know, look from this area. It's not a trade I would take. It's not a breakout retest I would take, but you've broken structure. You've kind of retested that structure, albeit not very nicely, but your retest has kind of failed and it's moving back down. So yeah, I would, you know, Aussie CAD to the downside looks pretty good on that daily. Nick went short today. I was iffy on it and didn't take it. All right, okay. US 30, the US 30 is sending you crazy. The US 30 is a difficult one to trade, Renisha. But I was looking at this, roughly around here. You know, I wanted a retest, a proper retest back to that 20. Didn't get it. It's pushed up now. You know, one thing I will say, Renisha, is this looks a lot nicer than the SPX for me. You know, you look at that chart and you say, you know what, that is a lot nicer, a lot healthier than the SPX, and it looks to be decently moving to the upside. So don't get too, if you're, I know you're a new trader, Renisha, right? So what I would say is start on these higher time frames. You know, if you're trading smaller time frames, these 30-minute and 1 hour or 15 or smaller, it's quite difficult, right? Because you don't have that emotional aspect down yet. So this, if you're buying it, this is obviously hurting, right? But for me, I don't think this sustains. You know, you could get a little pullback, but I think this goes upwards. So I think if you're a new trader, you know, focus on this daily. That's your most powerful time. I mean, a lot of good traders will trade off the 4 hour and daily. That's mostly what I do. And this daily looks good for upward movement until it doesn't, right? So the trend is your friend until the bend at the end, right? But at the moment, so if this daily closes like this, is it really that big of a deal? Probably not, right? So yeah, that's one thing I would say, Renisha. If it's maybe you're trading a little bit too tight, a little bit, you know, on your smaller time frames, you know, stop loss might be too tight, and then you really worry about this. Whereas if you're trading on the 4 hour, and let's say you're taking it from here down here, you're kind of, you know, or your stop loss is all the way down here, you're okay with that. That makes sense. CAD Swiss. Okay, I'll do CAD Swiss. Let me know if anyone's off, and then if CAD Swiss is the last one, I will be off. CAD Swiss. I certainly wouldn't be buying CAD Swiss now, Rohan. Look where you are. So you're here, right? And how have we approached it? Are you in it already, Rohan, or are you waiting for it? Because again, if you know me, right, I'm never buying here, or I'm never taking the breakout here. Actually, might be a decent kind of fake out trade, to be honest with you. Although saying that, that's a lovely trend. And notice this, right? Let me look at my volume signature. Notice this, Rohan, right? Or anybody else who's watching. Normally, sometimes you get a little bit worried if you see this at the end of a bullish trend, right? Your climactic move. So if you have a trend that's going like this, and then you get something like this, your climactic, and volume comes in during that climactic, it can sometimes be a sign that that move has come to an end, right? So you're kind of getting certainly a fake out here, right? That seems to be happening. This 4 hour closes like this on a decent bit of volume, then it might look good for a counter trend short. Now, the difference here is you would like to see this bar right here, right? You kind of prefer to see this hammer bar at the end of this climactic, right? Because sometimes you get a hammer here and then it snaps back and goes to the downside, which is kind of the basis of my fake out strategy. But it has corrected through time a little bit on this 4 hour. You know, I would rather short it than long it, put it that way, Rohan, right now, but I'm not doing either, basically. You know, it's just the moves happened, right? So yeah, I mean, a short on that 4-hour closure, that wouldn't be a bad shout, I think. Any other ones? Any other ones before I go off here? It is almost 7:45. I think it's gin and tonic time in Dubai. I'll be putting I'm going to try to put out a new YouTube video this evening. If any of you subscribe to the YouTube, if not, that's my channel's down there. But if that's it, I appreciate you guys coming. I'll be back on Monday, and remember, oh, gold, sorry. Okay, gold will be my last one. I'll do gold, and that'll be it. I forgot about gold. My apologies. Gold. Gold. Well, I mean, this is, you've kind of got to disregard this, right? So in your analysis, so let's disregard this massive wick, this kind of volatility contraction. Now, you've got what resembles there a kind of falling wedge, right, on the bottom of this downtrend. So that was your kind of inclination that this may rise. We got that, right? We've got a rise. I think this works. I mean, this will probably be inverse to the DXY, right? Gold and dollar inverse relationship most of the time. If you get a sustained pullback in that dollar, then you could get the same thing with gold before continuation to the downside. But the difference with this is, so look here on the daily, right? I would rather take gold from a daily perspective, and I'd rather buy it and sell it right now. But to be honest, you'd be looking for sells on a pullback, right? We're at roughly this resistance zone, so it could kind of possibly give you your complex corrective, something like that. Let that 20 catch up. But I wouldn't be doing anything with gold right now, to be honest. As a trend continuation trader, you got to wait for that market. The moves happened, right? So you've got to accept that moves happened and wait for it to continue to the downside. But not only continue the downside, give it, you got to have a reason to enter. So unless you see something that gives you a reason to enter, I mean, this could change trend. Yeah, we could get a fall in dollar. Inflation fears come back in. Gold's that inflation hedge. It could come back up. But, you have to be bearish on gold right now because that's what the chart's telling you. So I think potentially selling into any gold pullbacks makes sense for me. Thanks, Anish. Appreciate it. It's 8:30 in Tucson, Arizona. Just starting the day with my real job. Wish it was quitting time. No worries. Enjoy your day. Right, guys. Appreciate your time, and I'll see you Monday. Trade safe. Thanks, guys.
Hey guys, thanks for watching today's show. I hope you enjoyed it. And before you go, make sure to check out our guest today and also subscribe to the A1 Trading YouTube channel if you have not already. Risk Calculator is a risk management tool built specifically for MetaTrader 4 and MetaTrader 5 to help you position size properly. Their easy to use software will allow you to enter and exit positions with lot sizes that are calculated for you, suited to your risk management settings that you allow for the tool. This is a big thing because a lot of us struggle with over leveraging or accidentally taking a position size too big, and Risk Calculator is there to help. Like I said, with the click of a few buttons, you're able to set your trade and the lot size will automatically be calculated for you so that it suits your risk management plan. In addition to actually setting your trades with the proper lot size, it also allows you to manage your trades as they're going along. Things like trailing stops, moving stops to break even, or even partial take profits are all tools or features available with the Risk Calculator functions that are available on MetaTrader 4 and MetaTrader 5. If you're interested in checking out Risk Calculator, there's a link down below in the description. And if you use that link, it does help to support what we do here on the channel, which is provide free trading content, again, by the thanks to the help of our sponsors. So thanks so much for watching today. Again, make sure to subscribe to us here on YouTube if you haven't already, and we'll see you back in the next one.